Welcome. 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 We're frozen. There we go. Welcome to Hogwarts. Immediately after this session, I want you to pick up your robes, proceed to the Great Hall for the sorting hat ceremony. Not Slytherin, not Slytherin, please, not Slytherin. All right, thank you for indulging me. So I can guarantee that seeing this huge group of students across the health professions, faculty from each of your programs, the Vice Chancellor for Health Affairs in one large auditorium is not a common sight around this campus. But what you will see are small groups of interprofessional folks huddled near Fulginetti, by the bookstore, in clinical spaces, talking about things like care of magical creatures, potions, or more importantly, the really serious, important work that we're all here to do. So thank you for coming today, and thank you for choosing a career in the health professions. My name is Suzanne Brandenburg. I'm the director of the CU Center for Interprofessional Practice and Education, and I'm delighted to have you all here today. To start off our session, we're going to have a few remarks from Vice Chancellor of Health Affairs, Dr. John Riley.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Dr. Brandenburg said, actually, this is the most people I've ever seen in this auditorium. Welcome to the campus for all of you who are first-year students, and then thank you for the faculty for participating in this. I think what you're about to embark on represents a substantial change in medical education from the dark ages when I was a medical student, when the focus was training individual practitioners. In the same way that scientific research has evolved into a team activity, the provision of first-class clinical care has evolved into a team activity. And so I think the goals of this curriculum are several-fold for all of you. One is for you to develop an understanding of what your colleagues who are training in slightly different disciplines than you, what they bring to the table that you don't, and vice versa. How to work effectively together. How to understand that if you're on a team, you're not always the chief. Sometimes you are riding in the bus and not driving the bus. You are all united. I hope you will continue to remember and keep in mind over the course of this year by a choice to pursue a career in the health professions, and for hopefully all of us, that's motivated by the desire to provide outstanding medical care to our patients, either to keep them from getting ill or to help them recover from illnesses or injuries should those occur. If any of you have had the misfortune to be a patient rather than a practitioner, you will know the profound impact that the health professions can have on people's lives, and how little things like actually listening to what people have to say, letting them finish before you tell them what you're going to do to them, treating them respectfully, being on time, all contribute to a first-class patient experience. So one of the messages I'd like to leave you with is that I hope you keep throughout this curriculum, but more importantly throughout your career, is number one, you are going to become the experts. Your patients are not the experts. So what seems obvious to you may not be obvious to them. So explain things to them. Treat your patients the way you would like to be treated if you were a patient. and use your ears more than you use your mouth. If you do those three things, your patients will greatly appreciate you, and you will have a very fulfilling career. I think it's a fabulous time to be going into the health professions. The fields are expanding dramatically. The scopes of practice for all the professions are expanding. The science that helps us understand the basis for what we are doing to patients is exploding. And hopefully over the course of your career, the healthcare system will continue to evolve where team-based care performance becomes the norm and accomplishes what we all want for our society, which is outstanding health available to everybody in our country at a cost that doesn't bankrupt our government. So enjoy your sessions this afternoon. I'm not going to continue with the Harry Potter analogies here. I'm trying to decide which house Dr. Brandenburg would be in. I know she doesn't want to be in Slytherin. I'm thinking like Hufflepuff, maybe. But enjoy getting to know each other in your small groups and make the most of this opportunity to develop an understanding of what each of your disciplines brings to the table. There are a lot of people who graduate from medical school not knowing what the other disciplines bring and vice versa, and this is a chance to understand better where you fit in the whole healthcare ecosystem. So welcome and thanks very much.
All right, so to introduce you to IPE here on our campus, I am going to show you a video that we made a few years ago, hopefully.
This campus was built for interprofessional education, and increasingly we're finding students are coming here because that's what they're looking for.
When I was looking at different schools, IPE definitely was a factor in where I would want to go. Being able to have simulation labs and just experience a patient scenario with these other students that I'm going to school with was something that I wouldn't really have an opportunity to experience anywhere else.
It's definitely an interprofessional education. You do work with all the students from all the different professions. Sometimes it can be hard to see how dentistry fits in, but you get a lot out of it and you learn a lot from your peers from the other schools to see how their education is different and how it can affect your treatment of patients later in the clinic.
In this team-based learning environment, you really have to work together and learn together and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's what team-based learning is all about, and be willing to be vulnerable in front of your other teammates and say, I don't know this, do you know this? Because that's what it's all about in the real world. When you go out on rotations and when you go into your profession, you're going to encounter things that you don't know, and you have to learn on the spot.
With the iPad classes, because it's more thought, it's kind of ethics, it's how do we work together, how do I listen to you, how do you listen to me, the experience tends to be more global.
People think intuitively about teamwork and don't really question it. If you ask most people, they'll say they're great at teamwork, but the reality is that most of us aren't. We have a set of defaults that we use, and yet teamwork is really the key to quality and safety in healthcare now. So we've taken the approach that teamwork requires skill, it requires practice, it requires knowledge, and we want to bring all those elements together for our students to work in teams, to practice in teams, and to do that over and over again so that they're successful, so that they experience failure, and that they learn from that process.
The interprofessional education program on the Anschutz Medical Campus is one of the leaders across the country. Oftentimes, students might learn about some of these skills within their own curriculum, but they never really get the chance to practice that in a team environment, and that's where the IPE curriculum really helps propel our students ahead of others.
So we can do this stuff together, but if we're not engaging the patient, if we're not thinking about what's in their best interest, and we're not doing that systematically and in a way that respects the values of the patient and the ethical traditions that undergird our professions, we're going to fail at all of it.
I know that patients are very perceptive in terms of how things are going and what's working and what isn't. And so for their sake, I think we need to work together as well as possible.
You know, here at the University of Colorado, we believe that the most powerful learning is by doing. And so our courses are experiential. You learn in teams by solving problems. You do that in our team-based learning and in a classroom setting. We do that in our simulation center in the Cape, and you do it in clinical settings around real patients.
Dawn Clinic is so different from other healthcare arenas. In any one setting, they may see 3 or 4 different healthcare professionals, which is kind of amazing for what we're able to accomplish within their visit frame.
Dawn is an interprofessional, student-run free clinic focused on providing the underserved patients of Aurora, specifically uninsured patients who can't get insurance, a place to come in and receive primary care. And it was designed to be a venue for interprofessional students from the Anschutz campus to be able to come in and actually practice taking care of patients in teams together, and to be that natural outflow of what they're learning on campus, actually being in the community working with each other to provide care.
I think that what Dawn really provides for students is a real-life application of how to work together in a team, but to also remind you that you have one small piece of the puzzle. And so for me as a physical therapy student, I'm always thinking musculoskeletal and function, but you know, working in these teams, I get to see the medical side of things. I get to see what the pharmacist's viewpoint is, and it helps me become a better clinician because I can sort of see how all these pieces fit together, and I can look at my patients with a more global sense.
So the CAPE Center is probably my favorite part of the whole iPad program, because you take all of the concepts and all of the team building and group work that you did during the iPad course, and you get to apply it. You go through 2 scenarios, and one of ours we did really well. We worked really well as a team. We were able to handle the situation, and then one of them was just a complete failure. And as the stress rises and the tension rises, it's harder to work as a team, and it's harder to communicate. It really spoke to the importance of trusting your teammates and really communicating and coming in together when things are going wrong.
It really comes down to how well you can work in a team. And honestly, that's what you're graded on, and more importantly, that's what determines if the patient you're taking care of is getting good care.
One of the things I got out of IPE so much is that we do have different roles. We're not trying to all fulfill the same role, and we have strengths, we have weaknesses, and it's really important to be able to communicate between the professions for the patient's best interest.
Each health profession contributes something a little different to the care of the patient, and it's important that the team members learn how to work together effectively in order to achieve the best outcomes for the patient.
We will continue to improve all of those cultural elements while we're advancing technology, while we're advancing therapeutics, and that's going to result in better outcomes for patients over the next 5 to 10 years. Because that's the way we really need to work. Healthcare is a team sport, and we have the essential ingredients here on this campus to deliver on that in a very impactful way.
I see interprofessional education as really setting the stage for the change in culture that's occurring in healthcare settings.
We used to think that smart people with a lot of knowledge delivered the best care. And what we've found is smart people with all the knowledge who don't work together, it doesn't matter how smart you are, the care fails, and it fails quite frequently. So teamwork, collaboration, that's the only way for us to get to quality, and it's the only way for us to ensure safety for our patients. It's the future.
Can I wear a hat next year, or is that taking it one step too far? All right. Okay, so what I do want to point out is just how many students we have taking this course. I mean, this is true power, if you look at the future of medicine, to have students from all these programs involved. What I want to add to this list is the late-breaking news that we also have a few public health students with us this year. So we are really being comprehensive in including students on this campus in the course. We have also 50 faculty facilitators, people across this campus and from the community who are in a range of health professions who are really here to help you guys have a good experience as you work in teams through our course over the winter and next fall semester. I want to point out who our team is. Much of our team is not in the room because they're running around getting set up for later this afternoon, but Reese Rowland is our coordinator, Michelle Coloradelli is our instructional designer, Javon Armstrong is our administrative assistant. They'll be at the Welcome Wednesday booth later today if you want to say hi. You've had communications already. Keep your eye out for any emails that come from IPE Help, and send emails to IPE Help if that's indeed what you need. We also have a team of faculty who are committed across programs to be involved in this, and I want to introduce our assistant directors. I'm going to have them stand up and wave, and so I'm going to start with Amy Ackerman from the Physician Assistant Program, Carrie Francis from the Skaggs School of Pharmacy, Teresa, who is masquerading as Scott Harpin from the College of Nursing, Wendy Madagoski from the School of Medicine, Amy Nordencraft from Physical Therapy, and Lindsay Yates from the School of Dental Medicine. We also have other key representatives, some of whom are here today and some of them weren't able to join us. Ann Michael Holland is the representative from Anesthesiologist Assistant Program. Daniel Goldberg is from the Center for Bioethics and Humanities. He could just wave. Yeah, he's here, yeah. You'll be hearing from Eric Gilliam in a couple minutes. He's from the School of Pharmacy and oversees clinical integrations. Shaima Basha was not able to be here today. She is the director of the CAPE and oversees the simulation portion of our curriculum. And I've already mentioned Wendy, so she makes the slide twice. We're going to move into just talking a little bit about the different elements of IPE here on campus. And so next I'm going to have Eric come up to the stage and talk about practicing beyond the classroom.
I'm afraid to touch anything up here. Hello, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to see this entire cohort of first-year health profession students on this campus together and starting this journey together. Before I talk through my slides, you can couch this as you like. It's either free advice or a call to action. So I have two things. One, get involved. And when I say get involved and engaged on this campus, not just in your professions, not just inside your silos, although I hope that's an outdated term in health profession practice soon. We used to say we are all practicing in silos. You don't have to enter the silos where you only engage with the professions and the peers that make up your professions. This campus gives you an opportunity to extend beyond the network that you would naturally have if you just stuck to your own classrooms. So that's one. Two, take control of your own professional development. Okay, no one's going to do this better than you will. So what does this mean? It means understand your passions, your motivations, what you get excited about, and find opportunities to strengthen those and become a stronger, more successful, effective practitioner, whichever profession you might be in. I will reference the handout that was attached to the agenda today you all should have received. I'm going to spend a couple minutes talking about how you can take advantage of the IPE program to rise to the occasion of those two challenges I just gave you of get involved and taking control of your own profession, your own professional development. You can take control of your profession too. Might be after you graduate. So we're going to talk about how you can get involved and how this can benefit you as a future practitioner. So I guess I should introduce myself more. So my role here on the IPE team is that I'm the director of the Clinical Integrations Program. This has a couple different arms, but what this means is all of the programming that's going to occur outside of the classroom and outside of the simulation lab. So these are hands-on opportunities and activities. And the outside of IPE, I practice this as a practitioner myself. I am a clinical pharmacist working in the emergency room. So when I say teams are important, I can speak to that firsthand. Okay, so what is clinical integrations? This is the arm of your IPE training that will happen in the real world. Hopefully with real scenarios and real patients and real clinicians and peers assisting you as a team. And so our big goals for these opportunities is that you recognize two things. What is your role in relationship to others, and how does that role overlap? Because there's many things that we all have as practitioners, regardless as to our professional background, that we all strive to do. We all strive to have the best patient care. We want our patients to have the best outcomes. Sometimes our skills overlap, and sometimes we rely on the skills of other professions. And hopefully through CI, or clinical integrations, this notion will become solidified for you. And we want you to recognize that teamwork can be a strength. Teamwork can be a resource, and being part of a good team can make your practice and your outcomes better. Okay, so what does this look like? There are two aspects to this part of the program I want you to be aware of. One that happens now in this semester, and one to look forward to in the future. So you'll see here about the Interprofessional Open Campus Program. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking more about this in just a second. But what this is a co-curricular, and that might be a new term for you, a co-curricular platform to engage. And what makes something co-curricular is that it complements your training. It is a resource or a source of skill development that you might later find useful in your practice as a healthcare practitioner. But it might not be something you might get in your own training, whether you're medicine or pharmacy. So this is additive. It's not graded, but it's additive. We'll talk more about those requirements and how to engage in the Open Campus program in just a minute. Looking down the line, closer to the finish line, is the Interprofessional Clinical Practicum. So this is an extra layer of experience and training that you will have integrated into your advanced clinical training wherever and whenever that is most appropriate for you and your program. This looks different for everybody because teams look different, because patient needs are different in different environments. And this is the opportunity for you to prove and document that you have the team-based skills needed to graduate and practice as a collaborative team member and make the best outcomes for your patients. So what this means is as you go through your clinical trainings, your program will identify an opportunity for you to document the depth and skills that you've developed as a team member, and also for you to reflect and self-assess your own outcomes. As I said, this practicum is integrated into your training. It happens at different times for different programs. This is a new initiative of the IPE Center beginning a couple years ago. And so we're still piloting a lot of different sites and opportunities for students. For example, we just had a really great meeting with the School of Dental Medicine recently about integrating this into their rural-based community practice DSM sites. But it looks different from everybody. This is something to look forward to. The end game here, though, the thing I want you to remember that we're striving for is that each of us is trusted to be a member of the team. And trust can take on a lot of different aspects, including, do you have the knowledge you need to be an expert in your field? Do you have the communication skills to navigate complex scenarios with other team members? Are you avoiding the jargon that makes no sense to other people who aren't trained in your background? And so these are the things we're looking for. And when we look at them all together, it creates trust across professions. And so that's the end game that we're aiming for. Okay, moving to things that you can do today, starting today and in this semester. This semester is our second annual Interprofessional Open Campus program. What this is a menu of offerings. You choose how you participate. You choose the activity based on your schedule, your interest, and then sign up through our menu, go complete that activity, that training, whatever it might be, and then fill out a simple evaluation in Canvas. That's it. You only have to do one, even though you can do as many as you like. The timing of this is there's activities that are available to you today, actually, and I'll show you one of those in a minute. And these activities span through Thanksgiving break, essentially, towards the end of November. Once you've completed, go into Canvas, your IPE Home 2018 course, and complete the ungraded quiz. This is just a activity evaluation, very simple, 5 to 10 minutes. That needs to be completed by November 30th. Okay, so what's in the menu? Like I said, there is something for everybody. And this is where I want you to think about, what are you interested in? What are your passions? What are your goals for training here at CU Anschutz? I have a couple highlights. These icons are built into the menu, and you'll see these on some of the items to help guide you as to why might these be called out on the menu. Our primary theme this year is SOAR, strengthening ourselves through awareness and resilience. And I'll talk more about this theme in just a moment, but you'll see this represented a lot throughout the menu. This is also in conjunction with our One Book, One Campus, that third icon, which is centered on the same theme, and we're promoting our campus read, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. Who's read this? There's going to be a lot more hands soon, I can tell you. This book has been highlighted and used quite often in the DPT program, and is an excellent book. It's an easy read. You don't need more than a weekend for sure. It's a great read. You're going to read about a perspective from the eyes of a patient who needed to rely on a multitude of professions, not just to get through the day, but to communicate to his loved ones. It's a really, really great story. Another highlight of the menu I want to point out to you is that second icon, student-developed programming. These menu offerings are designed, sponsored, and developed by student organizations and individual students like yourselves. These students went through this last year and said, you know what, we want to see this offered. I would have liked to have this programming. So this is something to keep in mind for you next year, that you guys could be developing and working with your student organizations to offer some training and opportunities to your peers. Okay, the last icon is online programming. These, we know you're busy. We know you guys have a lot of things, a lot of deadlines, a lot of assignments, and you might not have time for a 5-part series on Thursday nights. I get it. So take note, some of these require you can do on your own time remotely as well. So that is a good option. I want to call out some examples and some things that are happening soon. So this is one of the first menu items you'll see when you look at this menu online. So AHEC provides student-provided health screenings twice a year. Right now they're down in Pueblo, Colorado at the Colorado State Fair, and then this January they are at the National Western Stock Show. And at these events, students like yourselves collaborate in teams and provide 8 comprehensive health screenings to hundreds, if not thousands, of Coloradans and visitors to the state. What's cool about this is that you can go, get trained on site, and you'll learn some skills that you probably would not learn depending on your professional background. You volunteer in 4-hour shifts. You go online to the AHEC website. On the menu, you can click through our menu too. I'll show you how to find that. But again, the fair is going on now through September 3rd. I will be there Saturday. There are openings for student volunteers. I will train you on site. There's also some training materials online as well to prepare you. You also get into the fair for free. Has anyone been to a state fair before? Then you got to do this. There's nothing like a state fair. Okay, you guys have probably heard about the Dawn Clinic. We saw it in the video, and I've heard a lot of buzz about this already. Many professions host student interest groups and training programs within their program. The Dawn Center is going to host 2 events giving the background that is intended to be interprofessional. Those are on October 5th and 18th. And I just want to do a shout out in case that this has been missed. There are roles for every type of profession and every year of training of students. And so a lot of times their need is in administrative roles that younger students can take on. So if you're interested, attend these sessions and learn more about these opportunities. Okay, the last one is the Authentic Community Engagement Series by the Campus Community Partnership and the School of Public Health. How many of you are very passionate about community engagement and volunteerism? I'm glad to see you didn't think that was just needed to get into school. Many of us this is a lifelong passion for us, and if you want to develop the skills to have a sustained skill set in community activism and engagement, this might be something to check out. It is lengthier than most. It's a 5-part training series, begins in October, but it does come with great relationship building with the community partners, nonprofit organizations, etc. And the point here is that they don't want volunteers to burn themselves out and struggle with the pitfalls of volunteerism. They want you to have the skills needed to avoid those pitfalls and become true community advocates. And this is a great way to learn about new opportunities in community service as well. Since this is longer, I will say a lot of these opportunities on the menu are great opportunities for you to stand out, things that you can get skills to put on your CV. We are looking at ways to give some type of certificates or, LinkedIn endorsements. We're investigating that right now. And when we have that, this is definitely something you want to make yourself known by if this is your passion. This is an example of what the menu looks like. The menu is a series of these entries. This one here is the movie night that we have on Thursday, October 25th, featuring the movie made from our campus read from One Book, One Campus. This is hosted by the Center for Bioethics and Humanities. So you'll see what this is, a brief description, who's hosting it. So if it's someone you want to engage with and learn about, also look to the menu for that. We have more than 25 organizations working with us. You'll see here the icons too, that this is resonating with our theme of SOAR. And on the left, you see the sign up here button. So that will take you to how to sign up for your activity. You can find this in Canvas in the IOCP modules in the 2018 IPE home course, or online on our website. We'll give you a link as well. And this is not just for you guys. This is for the entire campus. We have faculty, staff, and students involved in participating. So the requirement boils down to this. You have to have at least one activity completed this semester. Again, they go through Thanksgiving break. Most of these are limited capacity, so we do require pre-registration. That's through the menu sign up. And once you complete that activity, go back into Canvas to the quiz section and find that IOCP activity evaluation. Again, that's due November 30th. And this is, did you like it? What did you learn? Should we keep this program? Should we build this program further in the future? Very easy. Okay, so I'm going to take a step back and talk about our theme, SOAR. Why did we pick this? So last year, we introduced the Interprofessional Open Campus program with a focus on mental health and mental wellness, not just for practitioners, students, but also community members and patients. And our students came back to us and said, we want to focus on how we can be better and more stronger in the face of the challenges and stressors that we feel as students and future practitioners. And so they coined this phrase, SOAR. And you notice it's ourselves as a team. So on the back of this, there's just a taste of why. And I think about this as all of us need to recognize the reality that being a health practitioner comes with some amazing opportunities, a great source of pride, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of duty that we can take a lot of pride from. But it can also be hard. It can be challenging, stressful, tiring. And so we, as practitioners, need to develop our skills to be fortified against the challenges that we're going to face, because stress is inevitable, burnout's preventable. Okay, that's all I have today. Again, I hope you take me up on those challenges of getting engaged and leveraging engagement for your own professional development. If you have questions, I'll be at Welcome Wednesday tonight, along with our IPE student reps from last year who can talk about some of the things they've done on the menu. Again, explore the menu today. We'll be opening up that menu to campus fully next week, so get in there if you see something you really want to sign up for. And always email IPE help. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Wendy Madagoski again, who's going to talk a little bit about the upcoming course.
Hi, everybody. Very excited to be here and to have you all join us in IPE Day. It really is a moment when we plan a lot of time in advance for you all to do this, and we know that you all have spent so much time getting into your profession and are ready to explore what we have here to offer you on campus. I'm going to share a little bit more about what IPED is. It's the classroom-based course that we have as part of the overall IPE program. And you looked at a couple of things in your pre-work today about IPED, in particular around TBL. But I just want to frame things a little bit more for you. And like Eric, I want to mention something about my own work. I'm a family physician, and my practice is very interprofessional. I work every day with medical assistants, nurses, pharmacists, social workers, case managers, behavioral health specialists, and we all collaborate together. And so I think what you'll find is that the faculty that you're working with in these programs on campus, even if they're not in the clinical setting and they're in the classroom, that we have experience and exposure to what it's like to practice interprofessionally. And that's what we want to share with you and want you to be better prepared for that than we were when we first started our training. So IPED covers 3 content domains, and as Vice Chancellor Riley spoke to, one of the big pieces is teamwork and collaboration, and that's something that can be a lot of fun to do, but also can be hard work, and it takes some practice and working through challenges and conflicts. So what we try to do in IPED is provide you with the basic science to teamwork and collaboration. And the same thing with values and ethics. That's something that we all share in common in terms of our professional work. And we all want to strive to have safe and quality patient care. So safety and quality is a third component of our curriculum. And we cover the basic sciences in the classroom, just like you would in your programs, covering basic pharmaceuticals, covering anatomy, physiology. You're going to cover that at the basic level before you're applying it in the active clinical environment. So before surgery, you need some of the basics. And the same thing here. We want to give you an environment where you can practice this in a safe environment with your colleagues, learn from each other about the different ways your professions may teach about some of these content domains. And that way you can explore it and then practice it in the simulation environment and then eventually in the clinical setting. And in order to do that, we give you an environment within IPED where you also have to work together as a team and develop your team processes. So it's not just about the content, it's also about the process of how you develop and work together over time. Again, a safe environment to practice new skills that you'll see replicated in the clinical environment, and that many of you will be leaders in the future to bring to your environments. So as you saw in the video, and then you'll experience today, kind of in slow motion, we use team-based learning very purposefully because that gives you an opportunity to learn better from the team and to learn between teams. And so you'll start with doing pre-work in the IPED course, which starts in the spring semester, just like you did today, some of the pre-work for today's session. And then you'll take an individual quiz and then the same quiz together as a team to learn from each other. And then you'll apply that content and other things into an active learning environment in the session, and then spend some time reflecting on it. So this is something that you'll get familiar with over time, and today in the session what we'll do is we'll take you through the different pieces so you get familiar with it. What we've learned from the past years is that some students have had exposure to TBL, but not many of the programs use this very frequently in their curriculum, and so we want to make sure everybody gets oriented to it today before we jump into the semester next spring. And we also do TBL because it's engaging. The faculty enjoy it, the students enjoy getting to know each other in teams, and it gives you really more an active environment to be learning together with and from each other. So this is the basics of what our session today is going to be like. So we want you to meet the students from other health professions in your team and start forming as a team, and then practicing the TBL. We do have the individual and the team-based RAT, or the readiness assurance tests or quizzes, but they're going to be practiced today, okay? So in the IPE Home co-curricular course, you'll be able to see results there, but this is not graded. This is an opportunity for you all to get familiar with the structure. And so this is what you're going to come out with at the end of today. We want you to have a better understanding of the different health professions that are here on campus and their programs, what the students are doing in the different programs, what courses they're taking. We want you to get to know each other in your team. So what are the different things that you individually bring to your team and what your teammates bring? What are those characteristics and skill sets that will work for the classroom and eventually the clinical environment? We want you to get familiar with team-based learning, as I mentioned, and then also really experience how teams can function better together than individuals on their own. And finally, spend some time reflecting and experiencing communication in the team environment. So that's what today is all about. After today, we're going to ask you to take a little deeper dive into your own profession in terms of understanding its roles and responsibilities. And so we have another activity that you'll be doing this fall, and there's a couple different steps here. The first two are things that you all are going to be doing. So step one is you're going to do some more exploration and learning about your own profession. We'll provide you with some resources. You'll have your colleagues and faculty, maybe even preceptorship experiences, other opportunities to learn about what your profession does. And then you're going to think about that and submit some of your information that you've gathered to Canvas in a quick survey. We'll compile all that survey information, give it back to your programs, and then what's going to happen is it's going to be different for every program, but every program is going to figure out how to take a look at that information, work with you to come up with a summary, sort of a collaborative statement for your cohort about what does your profession do? What are the roles and responsibilities of your profession? Because we know as you come into your program, you don't know everything there is about your own profession yet. And we're going to give you an opportunity to explore that, come to some relative consensus within your program about that, and then you all will bring that back to your IPED team in the spring and help to further educate your teammates about your profession's roles and responsibilities, okay? So for those of you that like to have a little bit more information about things to come, there's more of these details on Canvas in the IPED section, that module. And IPED, as it works out in the spring of this year, will be 8 Wednesdays in the afternoon. Wednesday afternoon is our time on campus when we're able to bring all of you together. We've aligned our schedules to enable that. It's going to start at the end of January and end in the beginning of April after we have our various spring breaks. There's a draft syllabus if you'd like to take a look at it. And the most exciting part is that the teams that you're meeting today are going to be your teams later in IPED. Okay, so you're going to be starting to form those relationships and understanding and team processes today, and then you'll be able to come back to that. Don't hesitate to reach out to each other during the intervening months. I know that some cohorts are taking some classes before the others, and you can certainly be helpful for each other. We hope that you'll see each other in the open campus activities as well. We want to be able to provide you support and continuing to know and grow together between now and the spring. All right. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
All right, and now since Shaima Basha is not here today, Amy Nordencraft is going to briefly talk about the simulation portion of our curriculum.
Well, I am very excited to actually talk about one of the things that you as students say is the favorite within the IPE activities. So generally, most of you will start this later in your curriculum. However, nursing, you may start this very soon, so you might want to just be taking a look at this. The big part and take home of clinical transformations is it's an afternoon where you come together and you use the skills and the knowledge that you have gathered in IPED. So it's actually putting those skills into play with a new team. So it will not typically be the teams you will be with for IPED, so it's, again, taking you to that different level of putting these into play. And you will be working with various people. Unfortunately, we can't get every person on a team for the simulations, but you will have at least 2 to 3 other professions with you. And so our objectives really are to continue working on your team skills and furthering your roles and responsibilities. So sometimes you're going to be working with standardized patients in the CAPE. Sometimes it's going to be mannequins. So again, you can figure out where they go from there. And then Ethical responsibilities and quality and safety will be woven into these cases, but of course the primary role is your teamwork and collaboration and your communication. And then because it's not just the patient for most of us, we also involve family members and significant others as well. So that's just a brief overview, and you will get more information. It usually comes out about a week ahead of time before you come to the Cape.
And we do have a video, but we'll try to post that so you guys can take a look at it before you do it. Before I wrap this all up, I do think it can be helpful for busy students to have a recap of what it is we're asking you all to do. So this is today's ever important recap slide on what you need to do and what's coming up. So, you know, one thing that sounds very minor but makes us really happy is if you can leave your lanyards and your team kits, because we will bring them back to you in the spring semester, which I like to call the winter semester because it starts in January, but that's okay. And then complete your IPE Day evaluation, work on the roles and responsibilities activity, and participate in at least one of the Open Campus program offerings. So there's due dates, there's activities, it's also going to be outlined in Canvas, but sometimes it's helpful on a first day to frame it all here on one slide. So moving on, I think it's important to wrap up and really think about where we're going with this. I think you heard from Vice Chancellor for Health Affairs Riley, from other speakers about the really authentic need to think in an interprofessional frame and to practice in an interprofessional frame. And I just want you guys to try to hold on to that between now and when you get into practice. Because we all know it's not easy to be a student, and it's even less easy to be a health profession student than it's probably been for you guys to be a student in the past. So we really care about you as individuals because we know that thriving students become thriving, effective healthcare providers. So we really want you to take that holistic approach. We're hopeful that the Open Campus program and those kind of activities will allow you to build a broader community that will support you and support your efforts to be an interprofessional practitioner in the future. We think that the course will give you that basic science foundation that really will help you be more effective later. It does feel different than a lot of the general skills and knowledge that you've acquired up until now, so I have to ask you to indulge us, to put aside the idea that I'm a good person, so I am ethical, or I get along with people, so I'm a good team member. We really want you to get beyond that and into the science and the deep concepts around that. So I really hope you guys can stay with that. And then finally, we're fortunate to be on this campus, which has so many opportunities here and across the community to practice in authentic settings. And I know you guys are going to find that the most important part of your training. Our goal is really to empower and prepare all of you to work in teams. As healthcare becomes increasingly complex, we need you to have the usual skills and expertise and the skills of teamwork in order to address those complex problems. Things are not getting easier in our society, and you guys are the promise. You guys are our future in trying to get this right. So that's really at the core of why we're doing this. We're really happy, I'm happy, to see that you've chosen a profession. You guys have decided that healthcare is what you want to do with your professional time. And it's a great choice and it's so rewarding, but it comes with great responsibility. You really have this privilege of knowing patients, their families, their loved ones, at times when they are most vulnerable. So you owe it to them to take care of yourselves, to master your individual craft, and to figure out how to work in teams for the betterment of healthcare broadly. We want you to know that a good team member and a competent health professional is both good at leading and following, and that's what really gets you to where you want to be. So if you've come to make a difference in society, to change healthcare, to try to leave the world a better place than you found it, and I know that may sound cheesy, but I really think you can do that in healthcare, then we are delighted that you chose the Anschutz Medical Campus, and we look forward to working with you guys. So, have a great day. And now go to whatever room you were assigned or to the sorting hat ceremony.